Hello everybody, Bruce here with a video demonstration of two pages, both built with media queries demonstrating responsive web design. So here I am in Chrome and I have a window, okay? And this is the only stuff on the page, media queries. And as I make the window smaller, ready, wait for, do you see what happened? So here at this width, I have the blue background and the text that size, but as soon as I get to that breakpoint, notice how the background color changes and everything became smaller. In fact, if I go even narrower, you see what happened there? So I have, this is the, the larger display. Then I hit this breakpoint right there, and then I hit another breakpoint right there. In fact, is there another one? Nope, that's it. So depending upon the width of the viewport here, right, the page is responding by modifying the CSS, okay? So let's take a look at the HTML for this page. The line 6 here, you'll see a line that says name, viewport, content with device width, initial scale 1.0. You need that when you're going to be developing responsive web pages. And there's a great description in the textbook on what exactly that does. Okay? And the next thing I'm doing is I'm loading the normalized style sheet and then my own style sheet, which I'll get to in a second. And then I'm actually loading a Google font here on line 10. There it is. It's Roboto. Okay, just so you know. There's information all over the web on how to include like things like Google fonts and stuff like that in your web designs. All right. So in the body, I have a div with a class of panel. Okay, I didn't use a semantic element. I just used a generic div, and I gave it a class of panel, and it has an h1 inside of it. All right. So also at any time, hit pause on the video, and also you should have this code up in Visual Studio Code so you can play with it as I am, going over it here. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the CSS file. Actually, I need demo 1. I need to open up to the side this particular style sheet. I'm going to close the sidebar for now. So I have my HTML here, and I have my CSS here. All right. I just deleted. There we go. All right. So I want you to just take notice of lines 1 through 4. I haven't shown you this, but it's something a lot of developers do. And it has to do with what's called box sizing. You are all familiar with the box model and how you have the content, the padding, the border, and the margin, and you add all those together, and that becomes the effective width. Essentially, when you have this box sizing set to border box, the width of the box is the width of the box. In fact, I give you a link to it here, and I want you to go take a look at it. And feel free to use it in your designs as you need. All right. So the body has a margin 0 because it's taking up the full width of the page, by the way. And margin, that has nothing to do with that. There's no page width set, so the default width here is 100%. All right. I got the font family of Roboto Slab. That's the thing I loaded in the head section in the HTML on line 10 here. I have font size of 16 pixels, which is 1em, and then I have a line height, which is the interspacing of lines of 1.2. All right. I don't know if I'm doing anything with that, but it's set. The next thing is that panel. Okay, I'm going to bring this over a little bit so you can see it. And that's that panel class, which sets the background color initially to that blue color, right? And then it sets the color of the font of the text to white. Got 25 pixels of padding, and it lines the text center. The next thing is the H1 inside of something with the class of panel. It's got a font size of 36 pixels. it's forcing the text to uppercase using text transform, and it's setting the margin to 0. All right. So those are like some default values that are set. However, here's where I'm going to introduce media queries to you. And actually, I'm going to close this, okay, just so we can focus on the CSS. So I'm on line 28, and this says from 700 to 900 pixels. So when the window is 7 to 900 pixels wide, I am establishing what's called a media query for something called the screen, which we're dealing with here. And believe it or not, there are different media types other than screen. Maybe it's print, all right? So you can go look those up, but I'm defining a media query that says when we're dealing with the screen and the minimum width of the viewport is 700 pixels and the maximum width of the viewport is 900 pixels, open curly brace here, closing curly brace on line 36, and now inside when the screen gets to that size, I want you to change the CSS for the panel to change the background color to red and the padding to 50 pixels. And I also want to change the font size of the H1 that's in something with the class of panel to 48 pixels. So red is the background. So watch this, right? So as soon as I get to that 700 to 900 pixels, should be coming up right there. That's when that media query kicked in and applied these two rules here, the one for panel and the one for the H1 in panel. Okay, so it took whatever was defined up here, right, and either modified it or changed it or added to the CSS. All right, so we changed the padding and the background color. So the background color, which was whatever color it was, depending upon the size, and same thing with the H1. All right. The next one says when we have a viewport width of 901 pixels, then we set the background to this blue color here on line 42 and padding of 100 pixels. All right. So let's go back to our window. Let's go back to 900. There it is. That we hit the 901 pixel breakpoint. So as soon as we move below it, we get the red background, and when we go to even a smaller background, that blue one, let's see what happens. Okay, so those are the only two breakpoints defined when the minimum width is 901 and we have 700 to 900. So where's this stuff coming from? Well, it's this stuff right here, defined in the CSS, the body, the panel, and the H1 without any breakpoints. It's only when we get to that first breakpoint and then the second one do we change out the CSS. Welcome to media queries, my friends. Study that code, and I'm going to go on to the second demo now. All right. All right, so I'm going to bring back the sidebar. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go to the second demo, which is literally, well, it's not literally. I'm going to open up the CSS file for it too. Okay, there we go. All right, so I have the HTML open. Now this stuff here, this markup, this stuff has what we call like a wrapper. See this div ID page on line 15, and that goes all the way down to here. It's just like a generic wrapper that wraps around the header and then these other divisions and then the footer. And I'll show you what we do with this inside of the CSS. So let me show you this page for a second so you can see what's going on. So here is a page, right? This is the header. This is what we call large image. It's a division. Just use your imagination. Make believe there's a picture there. Then I have these three smaller divisions here, and they're all floated next to one another. And then I have the footer down here. You see that? And when I resize this page, ready? Wait for it. Wait for it. There, I hit the first breakpoint. You see what happened? The purple box went down below, and there's the footer. These two boxes are still next to one another, so let me do that again. Okay, see? And then as soon as I hit that breakpoint, boom. So this last box loses its float, and then it just goes down below it. And then I clear both, and there's the footer. And if I go down even further here to hit another breakpoint defined by a media query in CSS, wait for it, there it is. So we have the header, the large image, box 1, box 2, and box 3, all in a normal order, and then footer. How about that? So yeah, you need to have this code open so you can see what's going on. So let's look at the CSS, all right? Okay, remember, I'm using IDs here for the large image, content 1, content 2, content 3. I called them box before, all right? So let's open up the CSS. Here's the body. I give a little margin, no padding, font family. The header and footer, I give some height to, 10 ems, which is 160 pixels, no margin, 10 pixels of padding, a border of that beautiful gray color, a background of Gainsborough, and I'm aligning the text center. Again, that's for the header and footer. I'm also applying, just for the footer, 10 pixels of margin on the top. Remember, top, right, bottom, left. Okay. And then for the 3 divs that are floated, right, I give them a height, some padding. I align text in them center. Well, there ain't no text in them. I don't know why I did that. And then I give them some margin of 10 pixels on the top. Okay. The next thing I do is I individually set, right, the background color for each of content 1, content 2, and content 3, right? I'm doing them separately. When I have commas, right, it's applying all these, property value pairs to this and that, right? And then for, large image, I'm setting the margin top, the background color, a width of 100%, and the height of 300 pixels, all right? So do you see what's going on here? Okay, see what's going on so far? All right. So now I have a breakpoint, my first media query. It says when we're dealing with the screen and the minimum width is 900 pixels. Okay, that's this one right up here. This is way over 900 at this point, all right? It's probably, I don't know, 12 or 1300, all right? So what that's saying, when I hit that breakpoint, set that page wrapper that I talked about, make the width to 900 pixels, and the margin 0 auto, so it centers that stuff in that wrapper div, okay? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say for content 1, content 2, and content 3, those IDs, those are those 3 boxes, set their widths each to 280 pixels and float them all left and give them some top and bottom margin. Okay, so those are these 3 boxes right here. They're lined up, all floated left. I could have floated this left, and this right, but all floated left works as well. All right. The next thing I did is I say, hey, content 3, I want you to set your clear property to none. Okay, so both, clear both, but right now I want you to set your property to clear none, and I'll show you why that's important shortly. And then the footer, clear both, so it clears these 3 floated elements. Clear both, left and right. All right. So what happens when I get to this breakpoint? Pretend I'm at this breakpoint right here. Okay, this one that we haven't talked about yet. As soon as I go to that 900 pixel breakpoint, what changes? The width is changing, right? And this purple box, which is content 3, is floated again. Okay? So what happens is for content 1, 2, and 3, they're all have a 280 pixel width. They're floated left and they have margin. But when I go to this layout, I need to set the clear to none, because when I get to lower screen resolutions, viewport widths, that are 600 pixels minimum and 899 pixels max, right? 600 to 899. Changing the page width of pound page. I'm setting content 1 and content 2 to float, and I'm setting content 3. I'm telling it to clear both because it was originally floated. Okay, it was originally floated. See, where are you? Okay, up here it was set to float. Okay, so when I get to that narrower breakpoint, I am what do you call it? Clearing both because I want it to go below, right? I want it to go down below the green and blue. You see that? You see that? So I'm setting the float to none, which makes it go in its normal order within the HTML. And then I'm telling the footer to always, clear both no matter what. All right? So the other thing that happens when I get to something that's not between 600 and 899 or greater than 900, so when I make it smaller, right, when I get here, right, that means go to the default rules up here, which don't have any floats at all. All right? Watch this a couple times. It's going to take a little getting used to, but this is really powerful. In fact, I'm going to add a little bonus thing here that says for content 3, I'm going to say display none. So again, only when content 3 is at that less than, less than 600 breakpoint. So watch this. Oops, I did it wrong. Okay, it's gone now. Do you see that? But I need to put it back when I get to these larger breakpoints. So notice the purple box is gone. You see that? So what I need to do for these other breakpoints, right, is, let's see. So this breakpoint with the 3 next to each other, I need to, what do I need to do? Let's figure this out together, all right? So let's just say display none. Oh, I know what I need to do for content 3. I need to display it because I got rid of it. So display, what should I set the display to? It's a block level element, isn't it? So let's see. So there it is, all right? So let's try this again. Ready? Okay, there, it's gone. You see that? Because I removed it. I set its display property to none. And when I make it wider, there it is. Okay, so what happens when I go to this one? It's still gone, right? So I could, actually, I set it to gone there. Here, right, for this 500 pixel breakpoint, which is this one right here, I can also say display as a block level element because it's a div. So there it is. Do you see that? So it came back. Okay, so let me just test this one more time. So there's all 3. There is 3 displayed down below. And when I hit the regular with no breakpoint here, it's gone because that's the way I defined it. All right. Yeah, so that's really neat stuff. And that's how breakpoints work. Again, go over this a couple times. Look at the code. Play around. If you have questions, you know how to contact me. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.